Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. My name's Sandy. This is Sawing with Sandy. I'm hanging out inside my shop today. I spent a bit of time yesterday getting things relatively clean, at least clean enough that I could set up these blade sharpeners. Now, if you've been around the channel before, you've probably seen this blade sharpener being used quite a bit. This is what I use in order to sharpen my sawmill blades. This is the Woodland Mills RS8. This model here I've had for a number of years. It's had its good share of use. But today, I've got something to compare it to. It's the brand new RS30 Woodland Mills blade sharpener. Woodland Mills was gracious enough to send me this. I'm going to compare it to the older model that I've had that is still available, the RS8 model. We're going to see what the big differences are between the two, and maybe it'll help you out there who are looking to get a blade sharpener. I've had great experience with this, but we're going to see what the new piece of equipment here has to offer. So let's check out the RS8 model first and foremost. This thing is set up just as I would use it to sharpen a blade. You can see the sawmill blade here. It gets supported by these two outrigger arms, and essentially it gets down to this area where we've got our electric motor. It turns this wheel, and this wheel does all the actual sharpening. Now we have an advancer arm here, as you'll see in a minute. This moves the blade forward, and you'll also notice a few other things on the side. We have this piece, and this essentially allows for the head of the sharpening disc to go up and down. Now that's going to allow that to happen with this piece, which is riding on this cam, this profile cam. And this profile cam I can switch out for different manufacturers of sawmill blades. I just happen to have the one set up for Ripper 37s. That's the blade I'm going to sharpen on both machines today. Now with this RS8 model, it comes with one of these sharpening discs, as I mentioned. These discs actually get profiled to match the profile of a tooth. Now I use this in order to do that, and if we have a look at the profile that I have set up, that's what we're working with. Now other things you'll notice here on this unit, we also have this. I'm probably not going to use it today, but what this allows you to do is basically set that bracket on one part of the blade. And then as the blade makes its way to that part where the bracket is, it turns the machine off. That way you don't have to sit here and babysit the thing the whole time. Now another thing this unit came with, this right here, bit of a profiling guide. So that little profile there, you can match up to your actual grinding wheel and get it as you like. Now I just tend to eyeball it at this point based on experience, but this is a good start nonetheless. And let's just turn on the one control so you can see it advance. So there's the advancing arm, and you can see it's going to push the tooth forward. And obviously this would have to be down in order to do the sharpening. But you get the picture there. We have a little bit of a guide here for the blade. This right here is adjustable, so I can tighten or loosen that, and that just keeps the blade so it's not going to move left or right. It keeps it straight up and down. Now let's put this down here. And then in terms of adjustability, we can adjust the advancer arm here, and I can adjust how far that grinding disc goes down into the tooth or rises above it with this right here. See that cam that's spinning here? You can sort of see how things operate. All right, we'll shut that off for now. We'll be grinding in just a second. Now, if I was going to turn this wheel on, this switch will do it. And then you can see that'd be the business end of the sharpening. Now, just some other things with this unit. It's got an inline fuse here, and it goes down to a 12-volt battery. If we make our way over to this model, this is that brand new model that I just got. Thank you again to Woodland Mills for sending me this, the RS30 Pro model. So this thing, just from a first look, it looks somewhat similar. It's a little bit different in terms of color, but there is some of the same fine adjustments. First off, we've got those support arms that make their way outwards to hold the blade. We also, if we flip this up, we still have that advancing arm. We still have that holder, if you will, that'll keep the blade straight up and down. We have this piece, which is keeping the blade in line as it makes its way into where it gets sharpened. But aside from that, we start to get some differences. First things first, check that out. We no longer have that disc, the grinding disc, that needs profiling. This is called the CBN wheel. This does not need profiling. Okay, so that's going to be a big difference there. You'll also notice on this advancing arm, see that right there? That extra little piece at the end? Okay, well that's only on that model. This model does not have that. Okay. Over here as well, if we look at these outrigger pieces, I'll call them, these support arms, you'll notice we have bearings for support. One on the bottom and one on either side. Now that's different from the RS8 model. The RS8 model, we just have the one on the outside. On the inside and the bottom, there's nothing there. Now there is support, there is adjustability on both, right there, as well as right there. Bunch of cam profiles or profile cams that can be changed for different blade manufacturers, so similar to what you saw in the other model. Here at the back, I haven't talked about this yet, but we have this adjustment. Now if I were to loosen that off, I can change the angle of the blade that I'm going to sharpen. So I could sharpen a 7 degree, 10 degree, or 14 degree blade. Same thing over here. Just a slightly different knob there, but there's 7, 10, and 14 degrees. There's little holes on the back that match up with a sort of a detent on the back of this piece, and that allows it to stay in place. So if you put the head down, there's that adjustability up and down, just like we have with the advancer adjustment there. Up top here, we do have two switches, just like we do on the other model. One's going to advance the blade and one's going to turn on the grinding wheel. But you notice we have some other switches here. Power on, speed low, speed high, power off. Now, one of these in particular makes this quite a bit different than that unit over there. It's the speed low and high. This thing can go a lot faster than that thing. Just as I get this thing fired up, what I'm always looking for is the weld on the blade, as you can see there. And I'm going to start sharpening the first tooth after the blade. Assuming the blade goes this way, that'll be the first tooth after. The reason being is, if there's going to be a difference between tooth spacing from one tooth to another, it's likely going to be on either side of the weld. Maybe from that tooth to that tooth. Maybe it's microscopically different than the distance, say, from that tooth to that tooth. In that case, what I want to do is keep that on the far side of my first sharpen. So that's why I do it that way. And we'll fire up. And you might have to do a few adjustments. That actually looks pretty good. Now it could go a little lower in the gullet. And so I might just make a slight adjustment there. Maybe a touch lower. So the reason you might want to take a bit off the gullet is that is where hairline cracks originate. Okay, we're gonna call that good. We're gonna let it go. Now let's come over to the other unit. And I've already got this one set up, so we're just gonna turn it on, essentially. Yeah, we just want a little bit of material, just touching it. Good, okay. Side by side, there you go. Let's turn it up, shall we? Wow. That thing boogies. Just gonna slow it down. Just gonna ever so slightly make an adjustment. That's better. Turn her up again. I like that CBN wheel. I've never seen one before. All right, let's see what's going on over here. Getting a bit heavy there. All right. Check out the difference though. Usually I could go and clean the shop while I'm sharpening, but now that that thing's in play, I'm gonna have to pay attention. That'll be around that blade before long. It's looking good. Both are sharp. And just so we can rule out that one battery is more powerful than the other, I know they're both the same, but just so we can rule it out, I'll power this unit with that battery. Keep in mind, I've just gone around with one blade. I'm really liking that CBN wheel. As I said, that's the first time I've seen it, but I like it. Although I don't mind using a stone to profile this one, it's just one extra thing you gotta pay attention to. The CBN wheel, I don't have to touch it, and so that's kind of nice. I can maintain good consistency. And just so you know, these Ripper 37 blades here, they're both 10-degree blades. They've both been sharpened before with this unit. High gear, shall we? That's almost shockingly fast. Well, there we have it, folks. The RS8 on my left, the RS30 Pro on my right. One thing I can tell you, they both will sharpen the blades equally as well. I went around and had a look at the tooth profile. They both look great. I know for a fact the blades that come off of the RS8, they cut really well. I've been using them for years. The real big difference here that I'm still kind of shocked about is the overall speed of that RS30 Pro on high mode. That thing rips around so quickly that I can't really go too far because I need to be ready to take that sharp blade off and put another one on to keep the process going. Now, this unit here, aside from being fast, it does have a few other bells and whistles, a few extra bearings here to guide the blade around, you know, the extra arm here, the bearing here, things like that, you know, a little brace down here. But overall, both 12-volt powered, both will work really well for sharpening blades. But that thing right there is shockingly fast. That's what I'm really digging about it. And I also kind of like that CBN wheel. I'm looking forward to seeing how that does in the long term, comparatively speaking, with the grinding stone, the grinding disc on this model. But overall, very happy with both models. The tried and true, as I said, the one that I'm most used to, well, up until today, it was probably getting my vote. But after today, I'm looking forward to putting some hours on the RS30 Pro. The real truth is, if you go around looking at any of my outbuildings, you probably see big piles of blades laying around. That's because I probably have anywhere from 50 to 100 blades that are needing sharpened at any given time. Well, the faster you can do that, the faster you can get back to sawing, and that's what I really like doing. Don't get me wrong, I like sharpening, but I really like making lumber. So now that I've got that model here, the RS30 Pro, I'm gonna get through those blades faster. I'll get right back out to sawing. So that's a win in my books. Anyways, that's gonna do it for me here today. If you have either of these models and you saw me doing something that, hey, maybe I could improve on, I'd be happy to hear about it down below in the comments. And as always, if you could do me that big favor down below, give this video the old like-a-roo. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so already. And head on over to sawingwithsandy.com. Brand new website, all kinds of stuff going on there. And visit me on my other social platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And I hope to see you there.